before time began, there was a franchise. It had the ability to spawn endless sequels forever. Years later, people would enjoy these sequels, but 3 heroes among us enjoyed them most of all. Their names: Justin, Elizabeth, Tyler, and together they formed Sequel Rights.
Welcome to a brand new episode of Sequel Rights, the podcast where we take a look at the franchises that make you go, they made how many of those? And we give each and every sequel a fair trial. My name is Justin Camps, and I'm here with
Elizabeth Helly
and
Tyler Hymanson.
And we have a very special guest with us here today. Friend of the show, Tyler Kniep, is with us.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh,
Thanks for being with us.
The other Tyler.
Yes.
Yay.
Other Tyler. Now, don't be confused. We've got two Tylers on the show. I know it's going to be hard for the listeners.
Yes.
And I'm not going to say everyone's full names.
That's right.
Like some people
I
do.
go by Tyler Kniep.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, yes. So Tyler Kniep, what did you
Is
think?
that like
Yeah.
a Dave Chen shot
It is
that you're
a-
making?
Yeah.
We love you, Dave Chen.
I was
Yeah.
just joking. I think it's funny.
He's not listening.
Definitely not. Oh, gosh. Well, we are back for the summer. Back with a new franchise for you guys. We are done. We did Scream. We're done with it. We've done enough horror movies. There's a lot of horror sequels coming out this summer, but we couldn't do it because we just did it. And now we're going to talk about Transformers.
Real summer blockbuster
More
energy.
than meets the eye. You know, the Michael Bay Transformers, to be specific.
Bayformers.
Bayformers.
It's a different movie.
Yeah.
If you want to watch along, make sure you're not watching the 2007 Transmorphers movie.
Transmorphers, yes, indeed.
That is the wrong one.
There's actually we could probably do an entire podcast of all of the offshoot giant robot that have trying to play off of ants buying the wrong movie.
Oh, yeah.
At the
Like
Blockbuster.
Atlantic Rim.
Which is, yes.
All those things.
which is the Mystery Science Theater 3000 movie now.
Oh, that's
Wow.
great. That's great. They probably did one for Transmorphers.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm pretty excited about this one. It's, you know, we haven't done a lot of these like huge blockbuster movies.
This is probably the biggest franchise we've done.
And
most popular, most well known.
That's right. Because there's a new 7th film coming out.
That's right.
This
How
summer.
many?
7. How many? Yeah, 7 movies coming out. Oh my God. It's going to be crazy. But before we dive into things, Eliz, where can people reach out to us?
You can email us with your future suggestions for franchises at sequelrights@gmail.com, or you can find us on Instagram, Twitter. Yeah, we still have Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube.
Coming soon to
at
Blue Sky.
Sequel Rights.
And yes, rate and review wherever you're listening. Your reviews go a long way to helping other people find the podcast, or share out on whatever social still exists out there.
Yay.
Do you have TikTok?
We don't have a TikTok.
No, we should.
You should
Not
get TikTok.
yet. Not
you guys
yet.
need to go to
We're
the
too
youngins.
old. Yeah. I was like, we need the younger person to do TikTok.
We need to hire someone
Yeah.
who wants to be a Sequel Rights intern.
This is now turning into my
Just put a Craigslist ad.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
a young teen.
Youngins read
young teen.
Craigslist.
young teen with limited privacy concerns.
Boy. Yeah, you go ahead and put that one up.
I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Moving on.
All right.
Although those are the qualities that you would need to produce this movie.
Jesus.
Spielberg.
Right. You know what? You're not wrong.
Wow.
You're not wrong.
Okay, well, let's get on with it.
Autobots, roll out.
Here we go.
Got a little surprise for you, son.
No, Dad! Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
Yeah, I am. You're not getting a Porsche.
Let me tell you something, son. A driver don't pick the cars. Cars pick the driver. It's a mystical bond between man and machine.
Crash my car!
What you're about to see is totally classified.
Dear God, what is this?
We're under attack!
Dear God. How long is this trailer?
John Boyd say that.
Yeah, John Boyd was actually asking. Hey, well, that wasn't a line reading.
So after that trailer, I feel like this is a good time to talk about my history with this franchise, especially at this time. This is 2007. I am in the middle of film school at Art Center, College of Design in Pasadena. Michael Bay is a graduate, as is Mike Shinoda from Linkin Park.
Oh.
And this is also the year that 300 came out by also Art Center alumni Zack Snyder. I apologize to cinema.
What a great year.
But that's what's happening at this time for me. Yes.
Yeah.
Both these directors came and well, Michael Bay stopped presenting movies after Pearl Harbor because all the students made fun of him so much.
Oh, boy.
He never brought a movie back.
That's right.
But Zack Snyder brought 300. And so at the time, I have weird feelings about this movie because there's parts of it that was like, yeah, and there's parts of it that's, oh boy.
Yeah.
Yes. That's my history with it.
Okay. What's your history with like the Transformers?
I never had Transformers toys as such. I did watch the cartoon. I watched Beast Wars a lot more than I watched like the 80s cartoon.
Hell yeah.
It took a long time for me to see like the Orson Welles animated movie. That's not how most people would describe that, but he puts a voice in it. He's Unicron.
He directed it,
what are
right?
you talking about?
I don't even know.
It was like his
There was a
last. It
movie.
was like his last role. I believe.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that my first initial like to giant robots was Power Rangers.
Yes.
I always liked the idea of the Transformers, but I didn't have those toys or anything, so I didn't have a. I was aware of it, but adjacent, not a big.
I think we were like just
Too
on
young.
the border of being
Yeah.
too young. Yeah, because I also never watched the
Yeah.
show, but I knew the song from commercials,
Right.
Like the jingle or whatever.
Oh, the Transformers.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I never saw the show or anything animated, and like never really thought of it other than toy commercials, and then like just started hearing, of course, that these big movies were coming out, and I didn't see. And well, okay, so my best friend of my like sophomore and junior year, Alex Rolson, he wanted me to watch Transformers because he saw it and he was like, it's actually really, really good. Like, let's watch it or whatever. And I fell asleep and he was like really mad and offended. And I had to like apologize and it was like a whole thing. And I was like, I'm like, sorry, I was just really tired. And then I never watched it again. And then I went with you, whatever year, to go see Transformers like the last night because I had nothing better to do. But I had not seen any of the ones in the middle, and the only thing
must have been lost.
I went to go see it, and the only thing I remember is that like Stanley Tucci is drunk and plays Merlin. That's all I remember from the whole movie. I watched the whole movie in the
I
Chinese
definitely
theater,
have not seen this movie.
and that's all I remember.
It's
And so yeah, that's my only like knowledge of Transformers until revisiting it.
Tyler, what about you?
I had the toys because my brother, who's 9 years older than me, had all the Transformers
Nice.
toys. So I had them from him. And then my mom would actually rent episodes from Blockbuster
Nice.
of that and Thundercats. So I would watch Transformers and Thundercats. And that was, so I kind of grew up with the original series a bit, but I was too young to follow any of it. I just was like, oh, cool, robots. And then Beast Wars was amazing.
Yeah, Beast Wars is really good. It was one of the first 3D animated shows after Reboot. And
it looks like trash now.
It looks like trash.
You try to go back to both of them,
but
you can't watch it.
But if you think about where 3D animation was, like if you look at Pixar movies at the time, like this, like the fact that they were doing an episodic 3D animated show is insane.
What's Reboot? Is that on Toonami?
Well, Reboot was a Saturday. I think it was. I can't remember if it was WB or Fox Saturday morning cartoon, but they would replay it on
network.
It was like they were in the internet and
yeah.
Oh, okay.
They were like blue people and
I think so. I think it was part of Toonami with like Sailor Moon and
maybe.
Yeah, they probably replayed it, but it was originally a Saturday morning. It was basically they lived in the mainframe, and then when the user played a game, like a giant cube would descend, and then they would have to like play whatever game the user was lining up. Like they basically like where it was a entire society that was oppressed by whoever's using their computer,
right?
Which is a cool idea for the 90s for kids.
Do you remember they had a Starship Troopers one that came out too?
Yes,
like during Beast Wars called Roughnecks.
Yep,
that one was amazing. And it's lost.
To go back to that someday.
It is so good.
All right, Justin, what about you?
I when this movie was coming out, I was extremely hyped because I was like big Transformers fan, also from Beast Wars, which I could go into, but I feel like we could talk about it later.
We'll talk about it later.
When we get into the Beasts movie. But we had we had one of the like not original, but like a more original style like Optimus Prime truck toys, because like even if you didn't know the property at all, they're just like the coolest toys. Like, it's like 2 toys in one, a robot and a car. Like they transform. Like, I mean, come on. When you're like a little kid, that's like the coolest thing, at least for me. And then Beast Wars came along, and I was like just obsessed with that. And we have still at my house tons of those toys. And so when this was coming out, I was just super hyped. There were like some really teasery, like the original teasers were just like, there's this part in this movie where they talk about the Mars rover or whatever like the world thinks that it didn't work, but actually it did. So that footage of the Transformer like breaking the Beagle 2 or whatever on Mars was like one of the teasers, and when that first came
it was
out,
really good.
I was like, oh my god, a Transformers movie. And at the time it was like Michael Bay is doing this. I'm like, holy shit, this is gonna be fucking sweet, because like he does crazy huge action movies. I was very excited.
Yeah, and that kind of gets into the thing of
Steven Spielberg. Come on.
Yeah, like Spielberg producing and having him there and being at film school.
I wonder
at the
what
time.
he did there though.
I mean, I
probably
think
brought Shia LaBeouf. That has to be like the big
part of it.
Yeah.
But also I think that there's a lot of like Spielberg was going to do the movie at some point, and he was like, actually, it's not. It's not for me. It needs to be a bigger filmmaker. It needs to be a different type of filmmaker. I think he had a lot of story input, although there's a lot of weirdness that happens in this that I feel like this movie is 2.5 hours long, and much like anyone that has seen Ambulance or any other Michael Bay film, they would know that if it was 90 minutes, it'd be perfect. And there's no reason for the bloat. But I always, at the time, I was thinking about film budgets, and the thing that's insane is that I think that this movie costs like a third or at least half as much as Superman Returns to make.
What?
Yeah.
Well, it's because Michael Bay dropped his fee 30% or whatever for this.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
There you go.
To save money.
Yeah.
And also they get all the free vehicles from.
Well, and also you get a lot of money from the U.S. government as well.
Yeah.
This credits was so long at the end. It was like. It was several screens worth of product placement, and then several screens more worth of military, and then several screens more of just cars. Like,
yeah, I think that it's really interesting. This movie, we can get into the how this movie opens. It's like it's very much
before the
like there's a whole like Independence Day clone happening in the middle of this like teen robot movie with Tyrese and Josh.
That guy from Mighty Ducks Game Changer. That's what I know him from, right? Yeah.
Josh,
not Bombay. And the amount of like propaganda, like military nonsense in this is high.
There's a whole montage of just like people being like calling in all the military planes coming in over here, and it's just like plane shot. Wow, it's like a military porno film.
And that doesn't go away. And it's also one of the things that I think I'll bring up throughout the course of this discussion about this movie is that there's a lot of the Marvel blueprint in this. Like Avengers is still 5 years away from this. There's a lot of the action comedy, big set piece, and Iron Man is out or coming out. I think maybe it comes out the year after. But the through line of these giant blockbuster American films that have this very pro-military integration at this time is, it's post 9/11. That's why it's happening. But it's going back 15 years later and watching it, it's stark. I was like, wow. The first 20 minutes of this movie are basically an ad for... Is it the Air Force, the Marines? I don't know what they are. Whatever they are.
Who knows?
I think they were
Special Forces.
Yeah. I don't know.
Iron Man came out the next year.
The next year. Yeah, which is crazy to think of, like, how much of that franchise, world building, like Marvel will not figure out for many years to come after this. And there's a lot in this movie that shows up later on in the Marvel formula.
I like that apparently they were like worried about it being military propaganda, so that's why they decided to make like a bunch of the bad guys be like military vehicles.
Yes.
And I was like, I don't think that really works.
Yeah. Well, it's that having the cake and eat it too, right? Where and it shows like kind of where we're at in the country at that point, where it's the overall military bad, individuals in the military good, evil Decepticon cop. Right. And the teens have this ability to be like, yeah, fuck you, authority. But then also the government paid us millions of dollars to show off all their cool toys in this movie.
Yeah. Look at the soldier saving the local child over everyone else.
Oh, yeah.
Guy Ritchie's The Covenant.
I haven't seen that. Oh, boy.
The conversation in the plane.
Right.
Was awful.
It was horrible. Yeah. The fact that it opened up with this, I was like, what? Like, this isn't, it's not, as Disney Plus would say, it was wrong then and it's wrong now, and also it's not funny then, nor is it funny now. Like, they're just like, stop speaking Spanish. We told you we don't speak Spanish, which okay, I guess if he knows none of them speak Spanish, doesn't make sense that he went into full sentences, but also who cares?
Right.
Why would you yell at him to not speak Spanish?
Also, it's a terrible way to open a movie.
Yeah.
You have an epic beginning and then you just kind of bring it way down with this weird
especially because you have your two hero, the guy who was speaking Spanish dies, right?
Yes.
In the first big conflict,
but not before them bringing up the Spanish thing one more time.
One more time, yeah.
This is a running thing. It's not just a one-time joke.
Yeah, but so then you have these two guys who are supposed to be your heroes, like Tyrese, and then Josh Duhamel, really coming out of left field, stop speaking Spanish, where I'm like, oh my god, these are the two guys that we're gonna go through the rest of the movie with.
And it's there's 8-year-olds coming to this movie, and it's let's watch these guys argue for a little bit. It's
just I think you're thrown right away into what's interesting about these movies, and I think we'll have fun. I don't know if it'll be fun, but we'll have interesting conversations about as we go, is the amount of just insane random shit that are in these movies, and it just continues to pile on each movie.
Yes.
And I think it kicks right off with this conversation you're talking about, why is any of this in the movie? They could have introduced these people a different way. Why do we have to have this long, awkward conversation about racist stuff about him speaking Spanish? And then there's just there's a lot of stuff like that in this movie. And
I mean, should we just talk about some of it now? Let's talk about the Spanish things.
Yep.
Okay. So then later somebody is it the same guy? He gets called Ricky Ricardo by someone? Yeah. Okay. That was before he dies. And then, but then the other thing is this is it, Bernie Mac, right?
Bernie Mac
is the car dealer.
My co-star in Mystery 3000.
Oh, right, your co-star, yeah.
My co-star.
No, he was fine, but for some reason, he didn't have an accent or anything, but he's my name's Bobby Bolivia.
Yeah.
And everything says Bolivia auto dealers or whatever, and then he's it's like the country, but without the runs. And I'm like, what the fuck? And also, it's I don't think that this was a real car dealership that they were oh, we're just going to shoot here. And then he puts in that joke. It was no, they definitely made all the signs.
Sure.
They named the character that just so he could have that joke.
This is the geniuses behind The Mummy coming in with those type of, this is a Kurtzman and Orsi special.
And there's all that stuff where he's yelling at his worker,
His
like who's
mom?
in the
Oh.
club. Yeah, his mom. Yeah,
Yeah.
All
He's
this
gonna
is what I'm
beat her
talking
head.
about.
Every
Rock.
character, like
just like
both Bernie Mac and then Anthony Anderson later yells at their grandmother or mom, like, and calls them like a bitch and like, shut up, you old hag, and like, just what is that?
Yeah.
Like,
So-
is that a thing?
So, Eliz, if you thought that the through line of this movie was going to be giant robots, you're wrong. The through line of these movies is that shit.
Okay, it's very weird. I'm like, who would do that?
I felt like they let like Bernie Mac was on set and was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do some of my bits. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna call my mom a bitch.
Yeah.
I'm going to say that I want to kill
That's
her.
for my audience. My audience to come in. Yeah.
Yeah, it does. It like so many of the action sequences are so choreographed. This movie does have the feel where they're just like, "Hey, let's just get on there and riff." I know that that's not necessarily how Michael Bay works, though. So I'm very confused. But like, there is a lot of like, there's so much fat in this movie where it does feel like that they're just like, "Hey, like." Sam Witwicky's dad, you're looking out into the yard. You can't see anything.
The guy from Seinfeld.
Yeah, just riff for like, just say a bunch of stuff about what you're seeing, and then we'll put 5 minutes of that in the movie.
Yeah.
Like, there's so many parts of this movie where going back and looking at it 15 years later, or was it 17 years later? It's like, these people are just vamping to an empty soundstage.
The parents, I feel like, they had to be like improvising half that stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like
That is-
they're just
that is the
spewing
best-
out,
that's
like,
the best case
nonstop-
scenario.
Yeah, they're like just spewing out nonstop
I
like
hope
lines
that
and
that's what's
random
happening.
things, and I'm just like,
It's not good.
people like this. People aren't like this.
Okay.
Get away from my bush, she says.
Yeah, that was bad.
That's a classic
Okay, so
Kurtzman Orsi line. They put that in there.
The cube and the Allspark, is that all like Transformers lore from the
Yes,
cartoons?
absolutely.
Okay.
But why do they call it two different things?
I know. I have no
Why?
idea.
The Allspark is like inside the cube, right? And
I
then
think
he
it's the
took it
same-
out
No,
in
the
that smaller
cube's the Allspark.
I think it's the
Oh.
same thing.
No, like Bumblebee was just able to be like, I guess it's, I don't know. It's if you want to get into Jeff Kanata land, it's nanotech.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I've been on the ride like 80 times more
Sure.
than I've seen any of these movies.
Sure.
So I thought the Allspark was like a little crystal thing, and that it was like in the cube.
It changes.
Oh, okay.
Not in the cartoon though, right? I thought in the
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, also
That
one of the
changes
military
now.
guys
Yeah.
in this movie is the military guy from the ride videos.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa, that's the same guy from the ride.
Yeah.
Go Universal.
My side note is my full backup of all my stuff over the years on the hard drive. I always transfer it. It's called the Allspark.
Nerd.
I thought it needed to be in a folder called Black Ops or what was the one from Succession right now?
Secret files.
Secret files.
Logistics. Yeah, logistics.
Yeah. Death wrestling with ogres right now. You're reading documents.
I love the Transformers ride, by the way. But
I do too.
It needs a refurb.
It really does.
I went on it like a few weeks ago, and it's like so dark now. You can't.
Hey,
Oh.
hey,
Screens are so
I was gonna say, hey, everybody. If you're designing theme park attractions, projections are not gonna work anymore. So
Yeah.
you gotta fix that.
Is that because we're getting older?
No, it's LED
Our eyes are
screens.
getting bad?
Yeah, it's the cataracts.
Screens are not good.
The youths get all the lumens, but not us. No, gotta be LED screens. Sorry.
So how do you think they came up with the name Witwicky?
That's a good question. I don't know.
It's fun to say.
Is that a real name?
No, I think that they were listening to the Wild Wild West theme song.
What about Wiki Wow?
Yeah,
It does sound like even like a B actor in like an old John Wayne movie.
yeah, it does.
Old Witwicky.
Oh, Witwicky.
It's like a super yeah, I don't know. It's very weird. Who knows? You
Okay.
want something memorable? There you
I
go.
guess so. So yeah, Shia LaBeouf. I mean, he's like so hot at this time, right?
Yeah.
So-
I gotta say, like,
Hot off even Steve.
He was good in it.
My wife was like, I want to watch those movies because I love Shia LaBeouf. Like, I know he's terrible now, but I think she was like, we were watching it a little bit this morning, and she was like, this is back. I just want to see him because he was hot back then. Is what she said.
Okay.
And,
When he was more of a child.
yeah, I feel like, he's done lots of terrible things now.
He's pretty good
Since
in this
then, but I
movie.
think he's really good in
he's
this
pretty
movie.
good.
Yeah, he matches it.
Yeah.
I
the
actually love
craziness
his
of the movie.
Yes,
Yeah,
I know. It's like he does a really good job of playing like a guy who, he's like, what the fuck is happening? But he's also like into it a little
You
bit.
feel like him while watching it.
Yeah, Yeah. like-
you're looking at all his parents. He's looking at his parents like, what the hell's going on here? And we're like the same way.
And his just like, I just enjoy his manic, like, what the fuck? Oh my
Yeah.
God,
He is manic.
Well, I think it works really well for this situation.
And I think that really watching this, like most times, when I saw it at the time, I was like, wow, he did an incredible job integrating the VFX into these shots and all the practical things. And like the craftsmanship of this movie is something that I, at the time, deeply respected. And it's funny that all these years later,
I think.
yeah, that it was cheaper than Superman Returns is insane, right? But watching it now, rewatching it, the amount of work that the actors were just playing to nothing, and knowing that, you know, Michael Bay's workflow, if this is not a secret, he's not a director that's giving you much to work with. And so the fact that there's so many plates, there's so many things where it is clearly, hey, like Shia LaBeouf, go out there and act to nothing. There's not even a guy in a suit. There's not like Andy Serkis isn't off screen being like giving you something to play off. It's just like, it's like there's some tape right here, like play to that.
That's where his eyes are going to be.
And his performance, knowing that and just watching it, it's like, wow, this was really hard for actors in this movie. And the fact that his performance is pretty good is it's impressive.
Yeah, I like it. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
It's fine. I thought he was fine.
I thought he did well. He was the best one in the movie.
All things being even.
Yeah.
Everyone else was bit characters. John Turturro, amazing actor, bit character.
Oh man, yeah.
What is he even doing? Why do they have him in that?
It's comedy relief.
Why does he get stripped down to his like skivvies and he's wearing like a S7?
That was the joke.
Yeah, I know.
It was so funny.
It's really. It goes back to what you were saying is that they're trying to play every side here, where like the government is so freaking cool, but also we're gonna make fun of the government and we're gonna emasculate these two guys and like
there's the bad government and then there's the good government.
Yeah, because they're from what is it, Sector 7 or whatever. It's like made up. FBI. Yeah, and then they like get rid of it at the end supposedly, and like
started in the started by Hoover 80 years ago,
and the Hoover Dam.
And the Hoover Dam.
I was excited about when I saw this as a Nevadan.
It's a 5-minute drive outside of downtown LA. So
the amount of locations, like there's a sequence where Shia is riding his bike through Pasadena.
Yeah, right in front of First United Methodist Church multiple times.
And the amount of times that they cut together that sequence and the geography, like it's just like, wow, like I have a large insight into his editing because none of this was shot in order. Like this is just like he's teleporting.
I was surprised how much it actually did make sense if you didn't know where it was, because they were transporting instantly from like downtown to like I think Koreatown and then like Pasadena and then like and then you're in like the Hoover Dam and then all of a sudden they're like they leave the Hoover Dam and then there's like these huge overpasses and I was like, wow, they made it all the way to Las Vegas already, and then I was like, oh no, that's supposed to be LA. Okay, like
aren't they at the observatory at one point?
They go to the observatory. Yeah.
I also really I was like, oh yeah, that Chick-fil-A by PCC used to be a Burger King. It's like, that Burger King closed.
That's what you were thinking about during the movie?
I mean, I'm just saying, look, Megan Fox is sitting there eating at the Burger King, hanging out with her friends.
Oh boy.
I didn't even clock that. Wow.
Oh, well, because
and I live by that. Yeah. That Chick-fil-A now.
The thing to know about Art Center is that the film department was actually made by a bunch of dudes who just retook the commercials class. It's an advertising school first. And so they just retook the commercials class like as many times. So then a film department was kind of forced into existence. It's a great program, but everybody comes from advertising. And one of the biggest complaints of all Michael Bay movies is the product placement is fucking crazy. Like half this movie is car commercial running footage.
Oh yeah.
Of these cars. And like, he's a pro at that. That is what he came up doing. And the amount of brands that you see, there's Mountain Dew, there's Burger King, there's Xbox, there's all these cars. That does not go away. And it is the fatal flaw of all Art Center graduates.
I did like how like the brands, some of them didn't mind being like portrayed badly
Sure.
though. Like I like how the Mountain Dew machine
my
turns
gosh.
into an evil
love
Decepticon that starts shooting people like on the
Mountain
street.
With Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
I think wasn't that like a cat? Was that like a Cadillac steering wheel that attacks that lady's face?
Yeah, it's an Escalade. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like a Nokia.
Yeah.
Oh.
Which is really funny because the commencement speaker at my graduation was the guy who designed the original Nokia like phone that we all had.
Tyler, have you ever like had any troubles finding like Transformers collectibles that you wanted to buy somewhere?
Oh yeah, I've gone onto eBay to find them.
Oh, I didn't know. I was gonna say like, if you didn't know about a company that sold them, I was gonna send you to
eBay. eBay.
And you know where you can find eBay?
Through the World Wide Web.
I was like, you're bringing Peter Cullen back as Optimus Prime to get him to say
eBay.
Come on.
Yikes. So in the cartoon were the Transformers like specific cars?
They were, yeah.
Oh, they like
Ish, not really. I mean, like
they weren't like, oh, it's a it's a Camaro. It wasn't like that.
It just kind of looked like a
the
yellow
same car, though.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Like they never, which didn't make sense in my head with this movie because they do it to camouflage themselves, right?
Right.
They're looking at cars and they're like, now we're cars. Yet their name is Autobots, so they were probably cars
Right.
Yeah.
in their own planet.
Like
I
with
don't know.
Bumblebee, he was originally like a VW bug, and that's why there's that joke about like
the bug right next to it.
like Bernie Mac trying to go sell the bug instead of the Camaro, and he hits it like, oh, that's old or whatever. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. It's
Also-
both those
didn't make any
cartoons
sense.
came from the time where Hasbro was just making shows to sell toys.
Yeah.
So like G.I. Joe and Transformers were just like
Yes.
Also, wasn't Megatron literally a gun?
he transformed into a gun.
Yeah.
that Starscream would then be able to fire, which messed up some people's sexuality.
And there was a what?
It's on the internet. Don't
So
Google
the
it.
Decepticons were always just like the evil versions?
Yeah.
Okay.
But there was like, Starscream was like a jet like that. Megatron was a gun.
Yeah.
Starscream-
Starscream's very much like Wormtongue. Like he always wants to be like leader of the Decepticons, and like Megatron dies all the time.
Yeah.
And he's like, "It's my time."
I know.
And it never happens.
So,
Never
like,
happens for Starscream.
The little ones that like come off of them and transform into like the phone and whatever.
That's
else.
kind of new for this.
Well, there was, like,
Unless you're
sound-
getting into Constructicons.
Well, didn't like Soundwave, couldn't he like shoot out like a
Tapes.
tape?
Yeah,
that
Soundwave
turned
could
into-
shoot out
yeah.
tapes.
But are those things like a new sentient being, or are they like the sentience of the main?
They would be separate, yeah.
They would be separate.
Like
And, like-
Scorponok and all that stuff. Like, yeah, they would be separate. They're just attached.
But it is
Some of
weird
them are
that the
just
Allspark is
attached.
like it's the life giving force, and then we're just kind of
Yeah.
using it as a fun thing. That
Yeah,
we
I don't
do.
think any of them are like, oh, I'm splitting off part of myself into this other thing. It's like a separate.
Oh, okay.
But the Allspark is evil, no matter what, to humans.
Right.
Because even if like the Autobots like made everything come alive to support something, they're gonna still kill all the human race.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, Ratchet wanted to kill everybody. Like he was like,
Right.
let me kill this thing.
So Megatron like wants to get the Allspark to like.
Did you say
use it to kill
Megatron?
people? No, Megatron.
No,
Megatron. Yeah.
Don't throw that. I'm sure that's already a T-shirt somewhere.
I know.
don't wanna-
Oh my god. Yeah.
I don't want to see it.
He wanted it, but he didn't want it in him because it killed him. He just wanted to
Yeah,
like
it kills.
hold it.
It looks like it kills any of them.
They wanted to just like.
It's unclear what that
If
like
you
why
stick
that
it in
is.
your body, it
Then
kills
you die, yeah.
It doesn't make sense at the end when he's like, put it in me to stop it, and then it's like, well, why don't we? If that's the case, why not
Yeah,
put
why
it
don't you
into
just shove it up
Megatron?
his butt?
And when he does it, he's like, no, Sam, stop, and it works, I guess.
Well, and that's one of those things where
At
it's like,
least for this
yeah,
movie.
watching in the theater, I was like, well, that's going to come back to bite them.
Yeah,
I don't know if
I'm
it does. I
very
actually don't
confused.
remember.
It doesn't make sense.
They do it again in the Bride.
Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know.
It's just a MacGuffin of like, I don't know. It's the thing that gives life to Transformers.
Yeah, I didn't understand like the beginning what was happening with the Decepticons. I guess like because there was like that little guy, and then he got in the car, but I didn't understand that they could like.
Like have
be
holographic
a police
people?
car and with a person in it.
Yeah, that's new.
Yeah, they didn't do
And so
that.
I was like, wait, what the hell? And then later when the cop car was chasing Shia LaBeouf and it like focuses on the paint and it says to punish and enslave. I was like,
Yeah.
wow, how progressive for this movie. And then I was like, oh, that's a bad guy. Oh, okay.
Decepticon.
And then he like transforms right after that. And I was like, oh, then never mind.
Are
But,
you ladies man 217?
yeah, but at first I was like, oh, okay. So, you know.
Yeah. The other thing too, it's like, the whole thing is like robots in disguise, right?
Right.
They turn into cars to hide.
Yep.
But there's so many parts in this movie where they're just full-on robots trying to hide as robots. Like what? You have a built-in mechanism to try to disguise yourself.
And turns out it doesn't have to be cars.
Yeah,
Turns out
it
you
doesn't.
could turn into whatever you want.
yeah.
Because they're just looking and they're like, oh, that's a cool car. I'll be that one.
It makes sense to, I don't know.
Well, also it's like this whole farce, like slapstick. We gotta hide from the parents. I'm like, why? Just tell them. Like they find out 10 minutes later anyway.
I know.
Just be like, hey, mom and dad, I know you don't want to believe me, but there's these giant robots. I have to save the world and eat grandpa's glasses. Like, it just.
I did kind of have fun with that though. Just like Optimus Prime, you're like, oops, I stepped on this thing. Like why are they robots at that point? It doesn't make any sense other than it just be like a goofy scene.
It's for the kids.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
very long. It's a
It's
very
like
long
the
sequence.
it's a whole
very
thing.
They're
long
trying
sequence.
to appeal to like 6-year-olds and then like 65-year-olds.
Yeah.
You know what 6-year-olds love? Well, actually, they probably. I was going to say this is a
Robot
joke,
piss.
but they probably do. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They also probably love robots that talk like this.
What's cracking, little bitches?
I also love that they made that choice, and they're gonna be like, people are gonna say, "Wait, why is he talking like that?" And so they made a character ask, "Wait, why does he talk like
But
that?"
that also was seen by everyone, like during cutting, and like it was seen by the heads.
And then that's the one character who dies.
And
too.
his
Like,
name
come
is
on.
Jazz.
It made it
It's
so much
not
worse that
good.
they explained it, because if it had just been like that's what he talks like,
Yeah.
like it's a black actor, that's his voice.
They don't even need to point it out.
Yeah.
But don't worry, we learned the Earth language.
To the World Wide Web.
Yeah,
That doesn't even make any sense because
I
like
know,
there's not
there
even
was
that
no
much
sound.
stuff out there.
yeah, and like so that's how he talks, and then Shia LaBeouf has to be like, why is he speaking jive or whatever, and then they have to like explain it to him. It's like, no, it's so fucked
I wish he said that.
How about you're not asking why can any of you talk in English? You know, like it just no. It says like, why does that one talk like
Why
that?
does he talk like that?
Yeah.
It's also insane when that happens. Is like Optimus is just holding like the two halves of me. He's like, "Oh, Jazz," and then just kind of drops them.
Yeah.
I know. Megatron rips him in half. Like I can't remember what he says. He
Like-
says something like, "How about one of me?" And I was like, "I like two."
He has the worst line. Yes, yeah. No, he's like, "Do you want a piece of me?" And he's like,
Oh, yeah.
"I'll take two."
Hugo Weaving doing
Yeah.
saying 5 lines in the entire movie.
Yeah, I can't believe how low billing all the voice actors
Yeah.
got. Like they weren't in the title, like, or the end title cards, and then they like were all the way at the bottom, like under every single
Well,
actor.
because
like,
I think that's because now when you do facial capture or any motion capture, like because of the guild, you actually get those billings. But at the
Yeah.
time it was just voice work. So
yeah, I guess so. Still, now
and-
you get stuff
yeah.
like Vin Diesel as Groot or
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah.
getting its own thing. And
oh, because
like, yeah.
they're putting sensors on Vin Diesel's face and scanning him as he's acting.
Are
as
they?
Groot.
I don't think
For
so.
Groot?
Do they for Groot?
I don't think they.
They get
I
they,
don't
they,
think
at
they
least, they at
do.
least shoot reference.
Oh, okay. I
doesn't
thought they were
look
just
like-
recording. But he does record all 69 languages or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, that makes sense. He gets paid probably more to do that.
Yeah.
The we already talked about this moment.
Bumblebee, stop lubricating the man.
Like why? That's another thing. I remember
That's
in
multiple
the
jokes.
Transformers. I remember that they used to pee on things. Yeah, that's what I remember from the original. God.
But that happens multiple times, right? There's like they
There's-
see a human do
there's
it
a lot of
at
urine
some point
jokes,
where
yeah.
some guy's peeing on somebody or something.
And the dog pees on
That's it.
one of their
Mojo.
feet, and he
That's
gets really
it.
mad.
And
yeah.
they say the same thing.
Yeah, it's a boy dog, guys. Don't
Yeah.
put girl jewelry on it.
That's
Why do you
right.
keep doing that? Yeah.
He has self-esteem issues already.
boy.
Oh boy. But we're making a lot of fun of this movie. I think when I saw, I'm trying to think like what I felt.
Deservedly so.
I saw it in theaters, and I remember just thinking it was awesome. But a lot of these things, I feel like I want more of the robots, less of the humans.
Yes.
Because like stuff like Megatron is like underdeveloped. I feel like you know I get that he doesn't like come to life till like I don't know halfway through the movie or something. But it's
even
just like,
Bumblebee is really underdeveloped. Like, and when we're supposed to feel so emotional when he gets like captured and frozen the first time, the music is like swelling, and Shia LaBeouf's like no, and Megan Fox is all sad, and I'm just like, I don't care about this at all. And then even
It's
later,
like you were
he
terrified
dies
of
again.
this. You were terrified of this thing like literally a scene ago.
Yeah, like they never have like a bonding moment or like anything, nothing to be like, okay, you're my car and I love
like,
you. Or
yeah,
whatever.
it's like, they always describe this movie as like a boy in his car movie. And I think like on one hand, I think the idea to have him only speak through like sound clips and music is like really cool. And, and like unique and fun for this, but then
especially when you hear his voice at the end because it sounds real stupid.
Yeah. But it's like, but also it does take away from like being able to have a real connection.
Well, like,
it's like
it's also that the whole connection, the whole part of their bonding is when Bumblebee is like trying to help him get laid.
Yeah, that's the only time that they bond. Like literally nothing else.
And it's like, and none of that is tasteful or fun to watch.
And it's not even really working.
No,
like she's not really into it at all. Like. Even at the very end, she doesn't look that into him. And also, like, if you're going to make out somewhere, why would you make out on top of your sentient car?
Well, they're all watching. They're all parked right there. And then like, oh, those kids are making out. And Optimus Prime's like, calling all Autobots, come check this shit out.
Yeah, like by the end, she definitely appreciates like what his bravery. Like she says, like, I'm glad that I got with you in the car. But even then, they don't kiss or anything.
Sure.
It's just like, really like.
I was watching the, I was thinking like, oh God, what's Hila's going to think of all this like horrible male gay stuff that's going
bad.
on?
It's pretty bad. It's some of the worst examples.
And
of
I was watching some of the special features, and they're like have the casting directors on or whatever when they were talking about casting Megan Fox, and they're on the interviews like, oh yeah, he told us like to go out and find like the hottest 18-year-old or the most gorgeous 18-year-old we could find, and then like Megan Fox is being interviewed, and she says on the thing like on the special features that like Michael Bay was like asking her like, oh, do you have a nice stomach? And so she was like, I don't know. I think I do. Like, and then she said, I guess I'm going to be running like naked, hopefully not naked, but like with my stomach out or something, like all on this, like,
oh my God.
She later on, I'm sure we'll talk about it, has some choice words about Michael Bay.
Yes.
Right. Sure. You don't even need to hear the words to know. You can see it in the film.
Yep.
Like it is the text. Like it just,
it's gross.
It's pretty
she
crazy.
came out now and defended him though.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, recently because it was like a lot of the public were saying all the stuff that probably you saw in those like bonus features and stuff, and then today or like not last year, she was like, "Oh, just so you know, I was not abused or anything. Michael Bay was actually a gentleman."
No. Yeah, like I don't think he abused her at any point, but it's just like it's just like how the world was
at that time.
No,
it was like,
and that doesn't excuse it, but
I think it's the thing that's insane about it, and the reason that it feels so egregious is because it's the thing that we're talking about that stands out about this movie is that it's trying to hit so many quadrants. It's trying to please everybody, and with a lot of complex issues. Like there's a subplot of this of like, are we going to go to war with China? And like that's happening. It's like, are we going to go to war with China? Are these two going to fuck? Like, and can we make sure that Sam Witwicky gets home before curfew? Right? Like those.
And also, let's put in a few cute kids going like, "Wow, Transformers!"
Yeah, and I think that it is because it's trying so hard to please all those different audiences. It stands out even more that this sequence is like all the Megan Fox stuff and all the objectification of it. That was, you're right. The text is the subtext. Like that was what the market wanted. Like this movie was tested to shit. This is what everything. They're like, yep, that's great. That's what we want to see.
Well, and honestly, like. I mean, Shia LaBeouf was like kind of annoying to her, but he did seem to like the character seemed to actually like this other character, and his stuff that he said was stupid, but it wasn't like overly offensive.
Right.
Honestly, the most offensive part was the stuff that John Turturro says to her, which I was kind of like, God, I really hope that this was in the script and not him riffing, because that is like reprehensible if he was just making that up, because he says she has small boobs, like he talks about her bra,
and he's like, criminals are hot.
Yeah, and then he calls her
So
a criminal. He like demoralizes her, and then is like, "Oh, you're hot," and then later is like, "You're still a criminal. You're nothing more than a criminal." Blah blah blah, and then keeps calling her little lady, which is like like the worst thing any adult man can say to any woman.
And unfortunately, that's also a through line that we will continue to see.
Oh my God, it was really awful.
Just you wait.
Yeah, and honestly, like, yeah, it was worse with her. The other character, I don't even know her name. The female hacker, the girl from Jessica Jones.
Yeah.
She's never really called out exactly for being female. They're just like, oh, all these hackers are young and stupid and we don't care about you or whatever. But it was kind of stupid when it was like, I need to steal this SD card. Let me put it in my secret makeup compact for holding SD cards.
So, yeah. Pretty rough.
Let's talk about the hackers.
Okay.
They're a part of this movie.
They exist.
They exist in this movie.
He was funny.
They
I thought
could
that
hear.
guy was funny. I forget his name now.
Yeah, Anthony Anderson.
Yeah, he was hilarious. There's
But why was he wearing all Redskin stuff?
I think that's just part of the fun.
Is it Anthony Anderson? Is a big Redskins fan?
Right. Well, this is the part of this movie where he's the hacker friend. And then there's a giant FBI raid of his house that's played for like an entire comic scene. It's like, that's very 2007.
Yeah, it's not funny anymore at all.
Not at
because
all.
Literally, we have just all sorts of cops and military breaking into black people's houses and shooting them for no reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Like,
it's not scary.
Is that the guy from That's a Raven or Corey in the House or whatever that played his cousin? Or was it not?
Maybe?
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
That's your job to find out.
I know. I meant to look it up.
I don't see him on the list here.
Okay, then never mind. I did look up the girl who like has the tooth fairy.
Oh, right.
Thing. Her name is Sophie Boball, and she is graduating from Chapman Film School this year and is on the volleyball team. So
Nice.
That's the child star checking. I couldn't find any of the other kids.
I like that whole sequence. I know, like, too, when this movie came out, like that whole sequence of the Transform Autobots arriving to Earth was like one of the things that people pointed to, like, as this is like a Steven Spielberg moment,
I guess.
Because it's like, I remember when it came out, there was people saying like, oh, there's not enough parts where people are like in awe of the Transformers or anything, and that was the one moment that had kind of like a childlike wonder of like, wow.
I really wish that was the opening, more of the opening of the movie. Like, we cut to that of just like, there's aliens, we don't know if we can trust them.
Yeah.
Like, instead of like, here's 30 minutes of the military.
Helicopter robot plus Scorpion.
Yeah.
Well, I guess at the time, I'm sure they hoped, but they didn't necessarily know that there would be all these sequels.
Sure.
But I still think that, like, you could have just had this first one be a way smaller scale, like, so that you don't have to deal with the military.
Yeah,
but
you don't call Michael Bay for that.
I guess.
I mean, there is, like, I guess there is something to throwing everything in if there's not going to be a sequel, but yeah,
Sure.
there was. But
Well, and a sequel at the time is very different in 2007 context of what franchises are now. It's like it's before Marvel, it's before, the Star Wars prequels failed.
it's before the idea of like the cinematic universe.
Right, exactly. Which is weird to think about because it feels very recent. But there's a lot. I mean, there's so many shots in this movie and so many sequences and the mix of the comedy and the 4-quadrant policing that I think I think that as silly as this movie is revisiting it, I see the DNA of every big blockbuster over the next 15 years is in this movie. Like this blazes a lot of trails.
I honestly go back and be like, there is like legitimate, like iconic action moments in this film. I think, like there's scenes that are just like burned into my brain of like, like the Scorponok thing jumping out at them when they're like running in, and Josh Duhamel like sliding off the bike and like shooting the Transformer, and all this slow-mo stuff with the Ironhide and stuff at the end. Like that entire action, like the action is unparalleled in my opinion in this movie. Like
Starscream
really
messing up all of the jets.
Yes,
that
is
sequence
great.
is amazing.
So as much as there is like this fatty, like what the hell is this scene? Like why is this happening? When it gets to like what it really delivers on, when I think a lot of people want it, is like the giant robots fighting each other. Like that shit Michael Bay does better than anyone.
And I think that it's even the choice to make that badass action for like in that 4-quadrant movie, because it's playing to all these for 8-year-olds and everything else. But then it is to say, hey, no, we're going to spend the majority of the budget of this movie on giant CG action sequences that we can't properly previs, really, even at this point.
Yeah.
To say that, like, no, this is what the audience wants to see. And I think that at that time, that felt incredibly premium. That felt incredibly like we hadn't seen battles at that
And
scale,
still
action sequence at
like
that
it
scale.
still feels to me, it still feels like
all that stuff still works.
Yeah, it works really well. It feels to me still like bigger than some of the like big action movies that come out now. I'm like, this stuff still looks more impressive.
And there's more in camera. It's more real in a lot of ways.
They did a lot of practical stuff. Yeah. And like, you know, we're talking about the VFX and CG, like it still looks good. Like the transitions from like what I think they did really well too is like just like the transformation sequences, like the transitions from the robots into the cars and then they drive right off. Like it looks flawless still to me. I don't know.
When I got this at home and I got it on a DVD, I literally frame stepped through every transformation sequence to watch how the animation worked. And it's this movie, and this is a bold claim. I feel like the visual effects of this movie hold up in a Jurassic Park type way. And that they will always, there's a part of them that will always be timeless. It'll always be of that time, but it is executed in a way that is kind of future proof.
There were only like a few parts where I'm like, oh, you can tell that's like a green screen. But like, it's, you know, there's so many movies today that like when it comes out in theaters, you're like, you know. And so
honestly, the worst part was like the Mars rover thing, which is
Yeah.
supposed to be on a crappy camera anyway. That was the most thing that I was like, this looks like really bad.
It's just impressive. It's just really impressive that you can watch like this now an old movie, in my opinion, you know. Like,
these sequences, there's a lot of sequences that are more impressive than things that are action sequences that have probably way more CG than that are in Marvel movies that released this year.
Yeah, I agree.
Tyler, what were some of your favorite parts?
I actually liked Bernie Mac, but because
he's so good.
I saw the movie in parts, right? So like I didn't think it was a cohesive movie at all. Like I think they could have actually made it a series and it would have done better. But I find Bernie Mac funny. I always do. But in regards to like the quality of the film, I think the fighting was the best as well. Because the act and Shia LaBeouf. Besides those two things, then you just have this like really mismatched movie of skits.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And some skits that just don't play. I was also in high school when this came out. I was a junior. Mm-hmm. So all this all the commentary, anything that we've been discussing so far was way over my head, and I thought the movie was so cool when I was in high school. My mom even did a screening at the school and rented the film and like put a big screen
awesome.
and did, for some like fundraiser or whatever. So like the Megan Fox stuff and all that stuff like really appealed to high schoolers. But us, you think of like being a parent back when this movie came out. Say you were like in your late 30s or whatever, your 40s or whatever, and you're a parent as well. Like I wonder if they saw the things that we're seeing now.
Yeah, it's interesting.
I think that the thing that Eli's brought this up too, it's like that all the Megan Fox stuff and all the male gaze stuff is that it's played as like Shia LaBeouf's the nice guy in this. And like, he's the one who's not trying to objectify her. She's already in that shitty relationship and whatever. So I think that what can be said for that for 2007 is that's what his angle of approach on her is not the visual language that the movie is putting out there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be way
the character
worse.
reasons are
he clearly is trying to get to know her. He's trying
Yes.
to date her. The closest he gets to even trying to touch her is like, oh, why don't you sit on my lap? It'll be more comfortable. But she is sitting on the middle thing, so like that's not great. And so it's also not the most like he's not like sit on my lap. He's just like,
And
why
he's
don't you
not- and
sit
then he
here?
doesn't-
Yeah, like that's
and he first offers like, why don't you sit there? And she's like, no, that's weird.
yeah. It's not like a huge deal, but and so he's not ever like trying to touch her ass or trying to like do anything weird like that. But it's weird. It's the older men.
That's just
and
where the
it's
director's
camera.
pointing the camera.
Yeah, it's the
camera's
camera,
literally
and then
like,
it's the older men in the movie. Like,
I like the music too.
Steve
I thought they
Jablonsky did a
very
good
good
job.
job with that, and then partnering with Linkin Park.
Oh,
With
yeah.
that song's like so perfect.
Yeah.
It is.
So when that song came out, was it like from the movie Transformers? Like, or was it
it
actually?
was on
I
their-
think so.
I think it was on Minutes to Midnight.
It was on an album, but I don't know if that was out yet.
Yeah.
If this was like a way for them to push the
That's
single,
true.
and it just matched up perfectly. And they were like,
There,
oh.
yeah, there's an Art Center connection there as well. I think that it was
Mike.
there, and he talked to him about it, and like
It's a great
yeah.
ending to the.
It's great.
It's like when I hear that song, I'm like Transformers.
Transformers.
Someone's watching Transformers. It's a good end. I mean, you were joking about the ending of like him like come watch these guys. But I mean, we haven't talked a lot about Peter Cullen, but he is the original
so
voice
good
of Optimus Prime, and like that's one of my favorite things about going to these movies is his voice in the theater just sounds so great, and it's just like unparalleled, awesome voice acting.
I remember in the theater when he's talking about how like humanity is a young race, and like there's hope.
Yeah,
and
he's got so many great speeches.
It's just like, damn it, and it got me emotionally, and I felt embarrassed about that watching
Freedom.
again.
He's like,
and then by the time it was done, I was like, yeah, god damn it.
He has that thing where he's like, freedom is the right of
Which
all
is just
sentient.
propaganda.
But you're like, hell yeah,
Hell
it
yeah.
is. Even if you are a non-biological entity. I just think he does a great job. It's a classic voice, and I'm glad that he's back for the new one too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
What other things did he did before?
I don't know what else I can't remember what else he's done, but he was like the original Optimus.
Yeah, he's
voice.
a giant voice actor.
Like even back from the original series and stuff. So it's just cool to hear it, and they, even though they make him say
eBay,
it's still cool. I don't know. He does a great job, and I love it. I'm just like, what else is there to even talk? There's just like, I don't know. There's
Licensing on Bumblebee's like clips must have been a nightmare.
Yeah,
that's another part of the credits that takes like forever.
All the film clips and stuff. Yeah,
Why
it would
is
have
he
been
getting
fun.
why is he getting film on the radio?
It would have been.
Yeah.
I thought of it more as like he's connecting to like the satellites that are blasting out TV signals or whatever into space. But that would have been fun from a music supervision perspective. To be like,
Dave Jordan before the Marvels.
Yeah, exactly.
Movies.
Was this Dave Jordan?
It was Dave Jordan.
Yeah, I caught that.
But that would have been fun to just be like, what song would be perfect for this moment? Because I don't know, I thought that was cool. But and the designs of the robots are great. The Transformers, they ended up being like, I think when they first, this is one that I was like heavily following online, like every little thing they put out, like, oh my god, they announced like here's what Optimus is going to look like, and at first I was like, I know people were like, why does he have flames? Like, why does the truck have to have flames?
I'm still like that.
Oh, it doesn't before? It's just a blue and red.
It was just like, it was just like a red truck with blue accents and stuff. And but I think it just looks really good, and the scenes where they really take a moment to show them transforming looks really cool.
Okay.
And I think it was like, obviously it was iconic because they continue it on through multiple movies. But.
Yeah, I have a question. Well, actually, don't even like tell me the answer too specifically, but I guess this just shows like how screwed up my mind is that I kept thinking like, I wonder if at any point during this franchise they're gonna like holdo maneuver someone while transforming and like transform into each other in like a Lovecraftian color out of space, like, and kill each other by like their pieces transforming. Yeah, like
I don't know.
So, anyways, don't answer that, but I'll be
We'll
really
have to see.
disappointed if it doesn't happen by the last movie.
We'll have to see.
Because if not, I'm going to be like, there's no way no one ever thought of that.
Yeah.
So that means someone got shot down.
This movie was nominated for a bunch of Academy Awards. It won the 2007 MTV Movie Awards for Best Summer Movie You Haven't Seen Yet.
Before the summer? When they had the MTV Movie Awards?
It must
Oh
have been
my
like
God.
it must have been like in the spring or something. So stupid.
But everybody saw this movie.
Yeah,
everybody saw
it was
this movie.
freaking huge.
Yeah, it was not the biggest movie of the year.
No, it was like the fifth.
If you had to guess what, I have the
Superbad?
box office. The biggest movie of the year in 2007.
Yeah, tell us.
2007? I don't know, like The Incredibles?
Superbad.
It was, well, I can tell you the number 2 movie was Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix.
Oh, all
and
right.
number 3 was Spider-Man 3.
Oh.
Shrek the Third was number 4. Transformers was there at 5.
Okay, so what was number 1?
Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End.
Whoa! Finale.
Wow.
And by finale, I mean the midpoint.
And Ratatouille was just below Transformers.
Ratatouille.
That was close.
300 coming in at 10. Number 9, National Treasure, Book of Secrets.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
Dang.
Wow, what an interesting year.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They're all like kids movies
Yep.
that made
family,
the top.
yeah.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, I think that there's so many iconic things. I mean, even when at the end of this movie when they're dropped Megatron into the ocean, he's being suspended by 2 helicopters, and I'm like, yeah, like that. I'm sure that's where Guillermo got that for Pacific Rim. Like that shot is great.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, how did Optimus Prime pick up those tiny little glasses? I feel like there was a scale issue there.
There are scale issues across this entire movie.
Okay. But that was the part where I noticed it the most. I was like, there's no way he can pick those
He's
up.
got precision hands.
Also, Optimus disappears for like he just like, what is he doing?
That's what I'm saying. There's too many humans, more robots, please.
And then like he just so he can show up dramatically for out of nowhere.
Yeah, he has to drive from LA to the Hoover Dam. Yeah. But you know how it works. On the way back, it only takes 5 minutes. Right. On the way there, it takes 5 hours.
Yeah. Oh man. The shots of like the Transformers jumping over like that lady, and she's like, "Oh my god!" And then, you know what else I love? Like the first typical Michael Bay shot that we get is that like spin around shot of Bernie Mac like after all the cars windows explode, and I'm like, wow, he's pulling it out for this. Like that's hilarious.
Well, and it's also like very self-referential to other Michael Bay films at this point. Yeah. Like there's tons of like visual rhyme to The Rock and Bad Boys. It's very interesting. Like he's cannibalizing himself already.
It's crazy. Is there anything else you guys want to say before we dive into
spoilers?
So in the end, Starscream flies off into space, and that's it. Also, there's weird post-credit scenes with the parents.
Yes,
because we needed more.
There was more A material that needed to make it on the screen.
We needed more of that, you guys.
I didn't know. I still don't know any of their names other than Megatron and Optimus Prime and Bumblebee.
Oh well, yeah, and there's a lot of random ones.
Well, guess what? There's going to be a lot more and a lot less, and they'll cycle them in.
You got Bumblebee.
And the answer to all of them, except for the other ones, is yes, they were a toy.
You got Ratchet. You got Ironhide. You got Megatron. You got Bone Crusher. You got Frenzy. You got Starscream. Blackout. Brawl.
Starscream, I know the name of because he's in the ride, but I couldn't identify him.
He's the jet.
Yeah, you can get excited about.
They all kind of look the same when they're in robot form.
Yeah, they do. Yeah,
you can get excited about Constructicons. You can get excited about Grimlock.
Ooh, Dinobots.
I remember that. That was from the Stanley Tucci one.
That was the last night.
Yeah.
Was it?
I don't know.
There was there was some kind of baby dinosaurs.
Oh, okay. Because there's one called Age of Extinction that I think has the Dinobots. And that's why it's called that. But yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to it. Just hold your horses. We got 6 more movies.
All right,
to
we'll
talk
see.
about.
Are we doing Bumblebee?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We gotta.
There was a spin-off movie of Bumblebee only?
Yes.
It's probably the best movie.
With Haley Steinfeld? Yeah, oh my God. I'm excited
Wow.
about that one. It's good.
Travis Knight.
Tyler, you got
of Air fame.
You got a
rating system? Oh man, I'm gonna hate myself forever. But how many gallons of lubricant would you give? Transmorphers. Nope, Transformers.
10? Transmorphers.
Yeah, out of 10.
Well, I feel like I gotta agree with this guy here and say this.
This is easily 100 times cooler than Armageddon. I swear to God.
Like, I like Armageddon fine, okay,
Yeah.
but like I was, this movie when it came out like blew my mind. I was like, this is fucking sweet. Transformers. I still enjoy it. It is interesting, like Tyler. I wasn't in high school, but
It was for us. It was like I think that's the part of it that's like I remember loving this movie and everything that it's targeting is the thing that's like, ooh, like this was like I loved all of this.
Yeah, and I remember feeling like some of the stuff was maybe awkward, but not like thinking of it as this, like today's lens of where we're like much more critical on things. And I was like, I just enjoyed all of it, and I was like, yeah, Megan Fox is hot. Okay, I'm like in college.
Funny. Like I remember laughing when I was watching the movie.
And also, if you think about this too, like this movie is more than 15 years old. at the time of 2007, we're looking at this when we were growing up, like movies from the 80s that we give a pass of like, wow, that's really, I mean, think about the Meatballs movies and things like that.
Yes, exactly.
Like it is a good thing that we have progressed from where these movies are, and we can look back at them and be like, like that, maybe not so much. Like that is what progress looks like. That does not say anything bad about the movie. It just says something about that time. And at that time, this movie was targeted at all the dudes sitting around this table.
Yep.
And we loved it.
Yeah. And like, no, I was going to get into it. I was just going to say, like, I've been struggling with what to give this number, knowing how things go and like what, like, so I really like this one, and it's still like watching it now. I hadn't seen it in a while, but I had seen it a lot, but for a bit, haven't watched it. And so it felt a little bit like nostalgic to go back and watch it.
Sure.
And so I think I'm going to give it like a 7.
There you go.
7 gallons of lubricant out of 10. I just think like, and maybe I could maybe be, convinced to go higher too, possibly. But I just think like knowing the other films too, like going back to this one too, still has like just so many shots that are just like, oh man, I don't know if it's like because I remember them from the trailer or what, but like, just like these iconic action beats that are just still play so well and are incredibly like the craft of like putting them together and putting them on screen is still really impressive. And like, yeah, you could probably cut out like an hour of this movie and it would be better. Like just show me the action sequences. And, maybe if I watched it again, I would probably skip to all those things. But I think like clearly it struck a chord with audiences. It blasted off into this huge franchise. And I think that, I don't know. I think this one is really a great start and like creating a world and bringing the Transformers to a new generation in this. And I still enjoy it. I have a good time.
Okay. I'm going to give it 5 gallons of lubricant. Sorry.
Oh my.
Just because I don't have any nostalgia for this. And like, I totally understand what you're saying is that like, it is a product of its time and it's good that we've progressed. But at the same time, I think that still even like, a lot of the jokes are just like bad and like are not weaved in correctly. Like they're just randomly kind of plucked. And I think if there was stuff that was like racist or offensive now, but still made sense with like what was actually going on, it would be more excusable to me. But like just the example of like everybody yelling at that guy for speaking Spanish is like, that just has nothing to do with anything. Like if you want to like have them all razzing someone, maybe have him be like, oh, I love robots, and they could be like, oh, there's just such thing as robots, dumbass, or something, like just anything that like fit thematically in the movie instead of being like, we're just gonna yell at him for speaking Spanish, like, or talking about his mom's cooking or whatever. It just, I don't know, that's just one example. But yeah, I think a lot of it was just like there were just so many better options. There's so many other options, and better comedy that could have been a part of it. But
I can't wait to I know you have 3 more movies that you haven't seen before the one you have seen.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see if you'll maybe be like, maybe I should have reconsidered my score.
Maybe.
Based on what you're saying, I'm like, oh boy.
So
buckle up.
I think that I now have to say, everything that I just said about giving this movie some benefit of the doubt, knowing what's coming next, that's a little bit disingenuous.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, I will say though that I also like the transformations and the fighting or whatever. All that stuff looks really cool and it holds up very well.
Yes.
So I don't want to sound like I'm just saying negative stuff.
No.
Yeah. And like Impartables.
You gave it a 5.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm gonna. I am gonna go 6 gallons of lubricant, knowing what's coming next. I feel like that. Boy, that's hard. I think that there are so many. The set pieces of this movie rule. All still, and I think that there is a masterclass in terms of how you stage VFX shots and big action set pieces. For an insight into what's happening in this type of movie at the time. This is the year that Ghost Rider and Spider-Man 3 came out. Like, so like there was a long way to go to figure out how to make this big 4-quadrant action movie. We've now, perfected it. And I think a lot of, like I said earlier in the episode, a lot of the DNA for how that has evolved is in this movie, for better and for worse. I think that it's not like, oh, we've gotten so much better. A lot of this stuff is still happening. That being said, the craftsmanship of it is not from a plot or scripting perspective, but just from the visuals, I think is superb. And yeah, I'm still nostalgic for it. It is one of those things, but watching this, at the time when people, say like, oh, these action movies are boring. Like, I don't understand. They're like, what are you talking about? Watching through this, like, no, I get that.
It's bloated.
Yeah.
To all hell.
And yeah, I think that it's going to be a journey to go through these.
I can't wait to hear what you think about some of these next ones. Tyler, what about you?
As a film, like a standalone film, it's a solid 5 gallons of lubricant. On an entertainment, like on pure entertainment, I enjoyed the movie at like I could even go to an 8 gallons of lubricant. Because it is in my personal opinion a terrible film. But like, I enjoy the bit part. It's like watching like any crappy movie. That's why Mystery Science Theater exists, right? Mm-hmm. And you can find little bits of entertainment because you're coming up with your own jokes in your head or whatever. And I really enjoyed the watch through that I had. But like if you look at the movie as a whole, just nothing purely holds up. It's all these like little pieces that might hold up in different contexts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like it could be a great battle movie, just like you've all been saying this whole time, is that it's just trying to appeal to too much and pulling all the jokes, like cut out all the jokes and just make it like a crazy, like cool serious, action sci-fi serious movie. And it would probably be a really good movie. Yeah. But yeah, I do think the fighting holds up, and I did like the music. Those are the two biggest shining stars in my opinion.
There's like 5 movies in this movie.
Yeah.
That's true.
That's why I was like, as a series, it possibly could work if they let some stuff breathe a little bit.
But even in 2007, like that's not even a thing.
No, they didn't have like Stephen King was the only one who was coming out with like these large like limited series of like 3 episodes or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I think that's going to bring us to the end of our talk on Transformers from
Calling all
2007.
Autobots.
Yeah. But don't worry, there's more. There's more coming, you guys. And in the year 2009, just 2 years later, we get Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. And if you know anything about what's happening, what's potentially about to happen right now in the industry, and what happened right around when that was being made.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Then
wait a minute.
You might have some insights into what
you might be in store for.
Like. But you know what? We're gonna live by the words of Archibald Witwicky and try to survive here.
No sacrifice, no victory.
No sacrifice, no victory. The old Witwicky motto: we will persevere and continue watching these for you. Oh boy.
He found Megatron in the Fortress of Solitude.
He did.
Not Superman.
Yeah.
Or not Jor-El.
And he burned some coordinates onto his glasses. So I'm excited.
It still doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't make any sense. None of it makes sense, but just,
Oh, well.
Buckle up.
Yeah, let's buckle up for the one where the script is worse.
Yes. Tyler, thanks for being here with us, man. I hope you had fun.
Thank you. I enjoyed my time here.
Yeah, we had
fun.
Very fun. We had fun talking about this one. And in the meantime, Eluz, where can people reach out?
sequelrights@gmail.com or Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube @sequelrights.
And please rate and review wherever you're listening. 5 stars if you can still do that on Apple Podcast or Spotify. Super helps, and we really appreciate it.
All right, well, we're going to roll out and see you guys next week as we continue our lead up to Transformers Rise of the Beasts with Transformers Revenge of the Fallen. See you then.